Over the weekend, we've gotten reports that Diddy has chosen to reassign publishing rights back to bad boy artists. So far, we've heard that Mace, Faith Evans, The Locks, as well as the Biggie Estate, among others, have signed agreements to do so. What those agreements say, we don't know, but regardless, this is great news because, artists should get paid. And we've always heard these negative things about Diddy where he just kind of tricked people out of all this money, how Mace has been trying to get money back from Diddy for all these years. Just a bunch of negative things when it comes to money, artists, and Diddy. And, this is great. He's going to give the publishing back to the artist. They're going to get more money. Everything sounds good, right? However, because Diddy has had this negative air around him for so long, it is kind of hard to believe that he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart. This announcement coincides with Bad Boy's 30th anniversary, which reminds us that at the 35-year mark, copyright law would have reassigned the publishing to the artist anyway. So, while doing it 5 years early and potentially suffering a De La Soul / Tommy Boy sort of situation is better than not doing at all, it does feel like he's doing it a little bit for publicity's sake. I mean, think about it. 30 years, he finally decides, you know what? Turn a new leaf. I'm going to give back all this publishing. And, because, like I said, everyone they just kind of know, or they have heard these things coming out about Diddy saying like, oh, he's not paying artists, etc. And, we'll get into that in a minute, but there's always this negativity around Diddy. And, given how big of a figure he is in hip hop and music, him doing something like this is a pretty big deal, right? So with that said, we have also heard some rumors stating that he's turned down a 9-figure deal or multiple 9-figure deals to reassign the publishing, which again could be even more added publicity. And speaking of publicity, because publicity is always good, it's even better when you have an album coming out. He's got an album coming out on September 15th. I forgot the title of the album, but it's kind of a big deal. I mean, when Diddy drops, he's a big name, right? People want to listen, and he wants to get as much attention and as many ears on it as possible. So him, doing these things and supposedly turning a new leaf is just going to get more people invested and interested in what he has to say. Now, regarding other reasons he could be doing this, outside of publicity itself, there is also a possibility that Diddy has seen a notable drop in terms of revenue from publishing, and he's decided that, I don't need this extra money anymore. And that might be true. We have seen a lot of artists over the past couple of years selling off their publishing and just rights, essentially, for large one-time sums of money. And on one hand, it makes a lot of sense because, you probably noticed that you're not getting as many streams, you're not getting as much money off of the music that you had. So if somebody's offering you a significant sum of money, it may be more beneficial rather than to risk that that drop in sales or streams. It's kind of like selling stocks. I think I've talked about this before. Like, you want to sell when when the risk is lower. Like you've made a lot of money on it. Like, all right, now it's time to pull out. This is not financial advice, by the way. But if I were Diddy, I would just be like, well, I'm still getting money off of this. I could just sell it, right? If he's getting all these offers, clearly the streams on it are high enough. Plus, Bad Boy Records is a big deal. Like, some of the greatest music in hip hop and R&B came out in the 90s and around that time. So, and from that label. So I don't know what exactly the reasoning could be beyond that. And speaking of money and how allegedly he's turned down deals, it is entirely possible that some money is still changing hands. like I mentioned earlier, we don't know what the details of these agreements are between Diddy and the artists. It could very well be that Diddy is, or well, they are basically buying their publishing back. I don't know if this is true again because we don't know what the agreements say, but it is a possibility. It very well could just be that it's an added formality where you have to do the paperwork and all that. But again, there could still be some money involved. We don't know. And we don't know if it's like 100% given back to them. I mean, that's what everything seems to be. Like, that's what everyone's reporting it as, and that's what I've read. But, whatever. And, finally, the final reason, and the reason that everyone, I think, wants to believe, is that Diddy just wants to be a good person now. After all these years of allegedly doing bad against the artists that he's built up, he wants to give them back what they're owed, I guess. I mean, that's not going to be in the form of straight up money, obviously, but he's giving them their publishing. And, it is very well that he could be trying to be a better person, because recently, like 2 weeks ago or so, he invested like $2 million with Earn Your Leisure, which is going to help pay for educational tools and resources to help teach Black investors how to get their money moving. So maybe this is in the same sort of vein as that. He's going to teach his artists how to make money and not make those poor business decisions. Now that is a joke. I mean, in the 90s early 80s or late 80s, sorry, the music scene was different. Record labels were signing people, and honestly, it's a whole different ballgame back then. Back then, when you were signed to a record label, you were actually kind of built up as an artist and taught more things. Whereas now, it's like record labels are trying to just grab people who are already getting some sort of a buzz. So these people who don't have any sort of publicity training are just getting kind of thrown into places. Whereas back in the day, people were trained to do all this. So, the label may have invested more in them back in the day versus now. So there's multiple levels to it. I don't know the music industry that well. I don't claim to know record labels and deals, but just what I've heard and what I understand. But with all that said, it is entirely possible that Diddy just wants to be a good person, but because of his history, kind of hard to believe. I mean, yeah, he might be willing and just wants to give everyone their publishing back so they make some more money, but is that really what he wants to do? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this topic, whether or not Diddy is actually trying to be good or if he's just doing it for attention. And while you're down there in the comments, like and subscribe to see more rambling and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.